Welcome all wrist and welcome to another unboxing. Let's take a quick 360 of this outer box. Nothing special, simple Seiko branding. Let's open her up. Let's put this to the side. And here's the actual box. Let's take a look around. Looks to be made of recycled materials and it has this grayish color to it. Again, Seiko branding on the top. Put the watch to the side for now so we can take a look at what comes inside. So here's the pillow. It has this linen-like cover to it. Looks like an actual pillow, nice and soft, so it will accommodate a lot of wrist sizes. Now inside we get a little microfiber cloth. Let's see. So very plain, like a cream color, no branding, just a simple microfiber cloth. Now inside the box, it has a unique construction, like it caves in. So I haven't seen this Seiko box at all actually. This is my first time seeing a box like this. So very interesting. And in typical Seiko fashion these days, the booklet and warranty cards are now digital, so not much else to expect from the box. Let's put this away and we'll get to the watch. I did purchase this new from the AD, so you can see it still has its stickers on. So let's go ahead and peel those off. So take a look here. Seems to be wrapped all the way around. Nice protective layers. I always love peeling stickers off a new watch. It's such a nice feeling. Bracelet. That might be locked in the extension. Let's get those off. Now this side. Underneath. Let's see. Case back sticker. I think we are good to go. Now what I'll do is I'll size this up, get this tag off, and we'll take a further look at the watch. Alright, sized up and ready to rock. Now this does use a pin and collar system, so if you are sizing it yourself or sizing it at home, I highly suggest you get a tray or have a clean setup in case you drop one of the pins or one of the collars, so it's a lot easier to find. Now, taking a look at this watch, I've owned two of the previous generation, the SPB453 and the SPB297. And when I let them go, I did have a bit of regret because I absolutely love the architecture and shape of these watches. Now, the reason why I let the other two go is because I didn't really connect with them. I really wanted a black Seiko diver, just a basic setup. The 147 had that brown dial and the 297 had that awesome blue dial. I really just wanted something pretty much basic and black on black. Now the 143 did interest me for quite a while, but again, it had that gray dial, and while the gray dial is fantastic, I would have felt the same where I just wanted a classic black on black Seiko diver. And when they teased this, I just thought to myself, this is the one. It's a black on black Seiko diver in that 62MAS format. And not only that, they cut down on the dimensions a little bit, and they increased the water resistance rating to 300 meters, which is an upside. Now, you can see here, again, it is that black on black combo. Now the dial itself has more of this matte finish. I think it does have a slight sunburst to it. The sunburst is a little hard to see here on camera, but it is very, very subtle, very similar to the Pelagos sunburst. I've turned on this more focused light so you can kind of see that sunburst effect coming through. It's a very subtle effect here, and you will probably see it when there's direct sunlight or under harsh lighting like this, but it is there and it won't come through all the time. So under normal lighting circumstances and low light settings, you probably won't see this sunburst effect. Now, it does have those rectangular framed indices, polished and filled with lume. The hands there, you get half polished and half brush. Very nice combination, very legible, makes the hand stand out. We get crispy white text on the dial, Seiko logo, the Prospex logo, automatic 3 days because this does have the 6R55 movement, and divers 300 meters. So we are getting 300 meters of water resistance on this one. We'll also see here the date window. It is between the 4 and the 5. Now, that might be an issue for some of you, but personally for me, it's not really a big issue. And having a black date wheel just helps to hide the actual date window against the dial. So not really an issue for me. I quite like having that symmetrical look as well as an added date function. Very similar to the Zin 556 and how they do it as well with the circular window cutout. I think it works great on this dial. Now, it has a minute track in white as well. A very minimal, very clean layout here, just black on black, very classic. The bezel is an aluminium insert, and it has as well white markings. They are engraved in there or etched in. So it's not just like paint on top of an aluminium bezel. They are actually engraved, which is quite nice. In person, it looks really crispy and gives a bit more detail to the bezel. Now the aluminium insert will give you more of that vintage and classic aesthetic, and it matches the dial texture quite nicely here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bezel action. So it is unidirectional as you'd expect from a diver, and it's very crispy, very good tactile feedback and sound. It's just a great bezel action in general, and I think it feels a little better than the previous generation. It's actually quite nice to use, very easy to function. Now I can see that it might be a little slippery if your hands are wet because the teeth aren't incredibly deep, but all in all, this feels like a solid bezel. No complaints here, to be honest. Everything is lining up nicely too, so no misalignment on these SPB models. The bezel is done in this coin edge fashion with a polished top surface there, which ties in nicely with the polished beveled edge of the case, which also just ties in well with the polished flanks of the bracelet itself. So we can see there how all the polishing components just tie in nicely. And I like how the watch is predominantly brushed. So it will fare a lot better against wear because it will hide them much better, but it still has a tiny bit of flash with the beveled edge, the polished edges and the polished sides. So it's not just a fully brushed watch, you do get a bit of intricacy and refinement through the polishing. Now, taking a look at the case, they did cut down the dimensions just a tad, but in person, it is quite noticeable. You see how thin that mid case is compared to the previous generation? And just having it in hand, it visually looks slightly smaller, which it should, because they did make it a little bit smaller. Now, one thing I was interested in is seeing how different the bracelet is. And right off the bat, I can tell straight away from the end link, it is quite different. The bracelet looks to be a lot sharper, like the lines are a lot cleaner. They're more crispier, especially the end link and the way the end link matches with the case. I think they've done a much better job on these newer models compared to the previous generation. The links are much shorter as well, with a slight taper. Not a huge amount of taper, but there is a slight taper. And the clasp has also been sized down to just 2 points of micro adjustment. So while the clasp did get a lot smaller, you did lose out on, those other micro adjustment points. You still get this diver's extension. So it's still there, still that stamped extension. But again, with these type of models, it doesn't get in the way because it is an articulating extension anyway. Milled clasp, nothing special, very simple clasp from Seiko. And I don't mind really having just 2 points of micro adjustment because I only really use one anyway. A small detail, but I like how they've kept the drilled lugs as well as all the holes throughout the whole bracelet, so it continues, has like this flowing look and matching look with the case. Let's take a look at the case back. Now the wave there doesn't protrude as much as your usual Prospex wave, so I think this might be Seiko's way of also reducing the height just a little bit. And I don't know, maybe we'll see this continued trend where they do this new wave pattern where it's a lot more closer to the actual case back and not protruding as much. The crystal here has a slight dome to it, very, very slight dome, and it does come above the bezel just a little bit. Gives some nice distortions. It's very clear. And it is sapphire, so we do get some nice anti-scratching properties from it. Here it is on wrist. Now I have about a 6.5-inch wrist for your reference, and just like the previous generation, this watch is very comfortable to wear. Now it isn't the lightest watch, so it does have some heft on the wrist, but I quite like having the weight and heft on a dive watch, and especially since this is now 300 meters, I think the heft just plays into the whole dive watch theme and gives the watch a presence on the wrist. Now being that black on black combo, it does have more of that classic look and keeps the watch understated and under the radar, which is what I wanted. I wanted a nice just watch I could throw on and not have attention grabbed to it. Now here's a quick Lume shot. I'm in a room that is not completely dark. I do have some sunlight trickling through some shades in my room, but as you'd expect from Seiko, the Lume is good. However, it's not as good as some other Seiko models that I've owned, but it is decent. And the Lume here is green, so something to keep in mind. And you can see on the bezel there, it does have a Lume pip, but no other Lume along the bezel. There it is, guys. That's my unboxing and first impressions of the watch. Once I spend more time with this watch, I will definitely do a more in-depth review, and I will be using this in comparisons with some other watches. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what you think about this watch and what you think about this new generation of 62MAS reinterpretations. Consider subscribing for more watch content, and I'll see you in the next one.